right. So next question. What else can we talk about today? Quiet group.
I have a question.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Monica. I'm a primarily residential realtor in Texas. So I'm kind of new to this world. So I'm just wondering, what are the requirements to get into the business brokering world? What do you need to do to get there? And how do you essentially start?
Are you with eXp Realty currently?
Yes.
Okay. So eXp Realty's E&O does not cover business brokerage. So if you want to get into business brokerage, first thing you have to do is move your license from eXp Realty to eXp Commercial. Then within eXp Commercial, you request an addendum to your business, a business broker addendum to your independent contractor license, or independent contractor agreement, rather. So just because you're in eXp Commercial doesn't mean you can transact businesses. So there's a way of becoming authorized to transact businesses within eXp Commercial. So that consists of the business broker addendum to your ICA. Then they have you join the IBBA, which is the International Business Broker Association. They have negotiated a discount rate on that for you, which is good. Then you have to take 3 courses from the IBBA, and then they connect you up with an advisor, and you're supposed to work on your first 3 transactions with help from your advisor. So they make sure that at the end of the day, business transactions can get very complicated very quickly. It's a completely different process than selling property. For starters, business sales are confidential, and most property sales are not. And so generally, if you're selling a piece of property, you're going to have a sign. If on the residential side, you're going to have a sign in the front yard or something. But business sales is very confidential. And so that's why they want to make sure that anybody that is getting into the business brokerage arena has some basic training and basic knowledge, and then works with an advisor to get a little more. I can tell you I've been doing this since 2006. I still take classes. I take classes from M&A Source every conference, which is twice a year. But you have to constantly be learning because business is dynamic. So selling a business is also dynamic, right? And you learn also from your peers. You learn about what's working, what's not working, how to overcome different obstacles, how to work with attorneys and how to work with landlords and how to work with buyers and sellers. I mean, when you think about a business transaction, all the players involved, you have the buyer, the seller, then the buyer's CPA and the seller's CPA, the buyer's attorney, the seller's attorney, the landlord, and then the broker. And sometimes you have 2 brokers, but most of the time only one. Most of the time you're the only broker. So with all of those people and all of their different agendas and all of everything going on, it's like no wonder transactions can go sideways, right? So as the broker, and the reason we like being the only broker is because we get to communicate with the buyer and the seller. We start off with the seller, we get the listing, all that, we market it confidentially, buyers come to us. Now we're trying to put the transaction together. We understand from the seller what the seller's needs are, and we have the ability to ask the buyer what their needs are. And as long as they're not directly in conflict with each other, then we have the ability to put a deal together. Then we can't just say, okay, good, purchase offer has been signed, we're going to let the closing attorney take care of it or the escrow take care of it from here. No. Broker has to stay involved the entire way, because otherwise things can get derailed. Because again, you've got the CPAs, the attorneys, now the escrow officer is neutral third party. For those on the West Coast that use escrows, I know East Coast uses closing attorneys. I don't know how neutral they are. I wouldn't think so, just because law is not usually neutral. And legal representation is not usually neutral, but nonetheless, So you have to stay involved as a broker, and you got to make sure you're communicating with the buyer or the seller every couple of days. Are we on track? What else do you need? Due diligence. Buyer, have you provided your due diligence list? Seller, how are you doing on getting these documents over here? And you're kind of just monitoring and doing a project management. And then creative problem solving, right? So you have issues that crop up. There's a saying in the industry that every deal dies 3 times. So you have to get very good at resurrecting. You get very good at bringing the phoenix back from the ashes. So it's a lot of fun and definitely a challenge, but definitely not for everybody. Business owners in particular can be highly emotional. That business is their baby. That business it's their child that they've had for 30, 40 years. You can't tell them their baby's ugly. So I've had people come to me and say, yeah, I want to get into business sales because I can't deal with the emotional stuff that goes on in selling houses. So it's like, oh, you don't want to go into business sales. You want to go into maybe commercial property, but if you can't handle the emotional stuff, you can't stay calm, be a mediator, be kind of the buffer between buyer and seller, you have to have that skill set, and you have to be very good at it, or you're not going to ever get anything closed. So it's fun, challenging, rewarding in many ways. It's awesome. The satisfaction you get from, when you close a transaction, especially for somebody who's wanting to retire, and you're basically giving them the freedom to move their future forward. I mean, that's a really awesome feeling. You get paid well when deals close. There's a lot of deals that don't close. So you have to be prepared for that. And the deal cycle in business brokerage is quite lengthy. So on average, it's 8 to 10 months. That's the average. So some will close sooner, some will take longer. Sometimes you'll work on a deal for 2 or 3 years, and then it'll blow up. And you've got 2 or 3 years that were just into a black hole. Right. So yeah, it's business brokerage it's kind of a wacky world. Definitely not for the faint of heart.
Definitely. Thank you.
It's a good thing that you mentioned the importance of education or continuing education. I normally say that a person becomes old when they decide to stop learning. That's it. I mean, you can have an old 35-year-old person that has become old because he just doesn't want to study anymore. And,
yeah, true.
I'm 70 and studying is one of my things.